we go any further today, I need to put this on the record because it's not something I do lightly. In all the years I've been doing this show, and we're talking more than 5 years now, through various phases and formats, I have only ever dedicated a full episode to something said by a former Pittsburgh Steeler once. Just once. That moment came in 2021 when the legendary Mean Joe Green, a living icon of the franchise, publicly expressed his disgust with that brutal 23-0 loss against the Vikings in Minneapolis. That was a rare moment, a special one, and it was more than justified. Today marks only the second time I'm making an exception like that. Yeah, it's that serious. Yesterday I woke up like any other off-season day, focused on the OTAs, locked in on who's showing up, who's standing out, the rookies, the returning vets, the typical stuff you expect during this time of year. It's routine, it's part of the grind, and it's essential for understanding where this team is headed. But then I opened my phone, checked the app, and there it was. A headline about Terry Bradshaw. Yes, that Terry Bradshaw taking a shot at the Steelers over how they've handled the quarterback position in recent years. Now, let me be honest with you. My first reaction, pretty much the same as it always is when Bradshaw pops up with another hot take. So what, right? The man talks for a living. He's a television personality. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt. But let's not pretend he hasn't said his fair share of wild attention-grabbing things over the years. That's part of who he is now. So most of the time, I let it go. I focus on the current team, the actual football, and leave the nostalgia and ex-player commentary where it belongs, in the background. But then I read what he actually said, and let me tell you, when you hear this, when you really take it in, you realize that Bradshaw, colorful, outrageous, unpredictable Bradshaw, might have just hit the nail squarely on the head. He was on a radio show in Arkansas when the topic of the Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers came up. And without missing a beat, he laid into it. Word for word, he said, well, that's a joke. That to me is just a joke. What are you going to do? Bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California, go somewhere, and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there. Now, say what you want about that delivery. The man still knows how to light up a mic, but when you strip away the drama, you realize there's something more serious beneath the surface. Something that cuts deep into the heart of where this franchise has gone wrong. And he didn't stop there. Oh no, he went in on Kenny Pickett next, and this is where things got real. He said, and again I'm quoting directly here, I liked Kenny Pickett. I liked him at Pitt. I know him. I know what he's like. When they got him to Pittsburgh, they didn't protect him. They didn't get him an offensive line. They wanted to run the football, but they didn't have an offensive line that could protect, and they didn't have weapons. He had no wide receivers to speak of. Then they throw the kid in there for 2 years with an offense that doesn't fit, that doesn't work, and they can't run the ball because the offensive line isn't even good enough to be a run-blocking unit. Now they're saying Kenny Pickett is a failure. He wasn't the failure. The Steelers were the failure. Now stop for a second. Let that sink in, because what Bradshaw said right there, that's not the kind of thing you hear often. Not from a former franchise quarterback. Not from someone who still holds legendary status in Pittsburgh. And definitely not with that kind of directness. But the thing is, it wasn't wrong. Not a single part of it was inaccurate. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Whether you believe in Pickett as a long-term starter or not, whether you liked how he handled the Russell Wilson situation or not, there is no denying the fact that the Steelers completely botched the situation around him. From day one, they invested a first-round pick in a hometown kid, a quarterback with upside, leadership qualities, and the potential to develop into a franchise player. But then what did they do? Did they build a competent offensive line around him? Nope. Did they surround him with reliable targets? Not really. Did they give him an offensive scheme that plays to his strengths? Absolutely not. What they did was draft him, throw him in the fire, and expect him to survive without the tools to succeed. And now, 2 years later, they act surprised when things go sideways. That's what Bradshaw is really calling out here. He's not saying Kenny Pickett was the next Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. He's not saying the Steelers passed on a generational talent. He's saying the process was broken. The execution was flawed from the start. You don't bring in a rookie quarterback and leave him exposed like that. You don't ask him to lead a team without first setting him up to succeed. And yet, that's exactly what happened. We all saw the offensive line. We saw the confusion, the inconsistency, the missed blocks, the lack of cohesion. We all saw the lack of separation from the receivers, the lack of explosiveness, the play calling that seemed stuck in neutral. And we definitely saw Matt Canada's offensive scheme, which, let's just be honest, was never going to work in today's NFL. Period. So when Bradshaw calls all that out, when he links it to this bizarre new fascination with bringing in Aaron Rodgers for a single season as some kind of last-ditch miracle, it's not just a rant. It's a pattern being exposed. A franchise that hasn't known what to do at quarterback ever since Ben Roethlisberger started dropping hints about retirement way back in 2018. And that more than anything is what this is really about. Not Kenny, not even Rodgers, but the fact that for years this organization has lacked a clear, consistent, coherent vision for how to build around the quarterback position. Now, let me say this as clearly as I can. This is not about Bradshaw being nostalgic. It's not about him being bitter or out of touch or any of that lazy criticism you sometimes hear when former players speak up. This is about accountability. It's about a man who understands better than almost anyone what it takes to be a successful quarterback in Pittsburgh and what happens when the people around you don't hold up their end of the bargain. And listen, I've talked to other former Steelers quarterbacks too, not just the big names, not just the legends. I've heard from guys who spent time in that quarterback room, who sat behind Roethlisberger, who've been part of the organization under Mike Tomlin. And you know what? Not a single one of them believes the current head coach has a real grasp on how to handle that position. For all the years Ben was around, Tomlin never had to worry about it. Ben was the quarterback. He was the leader. He was the coach on the field. He managed the room. He studied the film. He adjusted the plays. He made the decisions. And because of that, Tomlin never had to develop that part of his coaching approach. It was never on his to-do list. But now it is. And it shows. Ever since Roethlisberger left, every move the Steelers have made at quarterback has felt reactive, confused, improvised. And now here we are again watching them flirt with a short-term answer like Rodgers without any clear long-term direction. It's the same cycle, the same lack of foresight. And honestly, it's exhausting. And I know what some of you might be thinking, that it's harsh to pin all this on the organization. That maybe Kenny Pickett just wasn't that guy. And that's fair. You're entitled to believe that. But even if you do, you still have to acknowledge how badly the support system around him failed, and that's what makes Bradshaw's comments so important, because he's drawing the line in the sand. He's saying, stop blaming the kid. Look at the bigger picture. Look at the decisions. Look at the infrastructure. That's where the real problem lies. And that brings us back to the present. Because if the Steelers really are considering bringing in Aaron Rodgers, a 40-year-old quarterback with a history of injuries and drama, for one season of what? A Super Bowl push. Is that really the plan? Is that how desperate things have gotten? So now let's circle back to that Rodgers comment, not just to rehash it, but to really understand why Bradshaw tied it into the broader conversation. Because when you look at everything he's saying, the criticism of how Pickett was handled, the slap at bringing in Rodgers for a one-year rental, it all points back to one core issue, the process. Or better yet, the lack of one. Bradshaw is highlighting something that a lot of us have been hesitant to admit, that the Steelers' approach to the quarterback position has become disjointed. They used to be the model of consistency, of patience, of long-term vision. Now it's like they're just throwing darts, hoping something sticks. First it was Mason Rudolph, then it was Mitch Trubisky, then Pickett, and now maybe Rodgers? What are we even doing here? He's essentially saying, you spent a first-round pick on a quarterback you believed in. Whether he pans out or not is beside the point, and you did almost nothing to support him. And now, when that plan didn't immediately turn into fireworks, you're tossing it aside in favor of a shiny veteran name like Rodgers? That's not team building. That's panic. That's noise. That's selling hope on borrowed time. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a development that has sparked a flurry of speculation across the NFL landscape, whispers are growing louder that Trevor Lawrence, the highly touted young quarterback, might be ready to say yes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This potential move has sent shockwaves through both fan bases and pundits alike, fueling rumors about one of the most intriguing quarterback sagas of the season. Lawrence, who has been under intense scrutiny since entering the league, appears to be at a crossroads in his career. Reports suggest that the Steelers, desperate to reinvigorate their offense and reclaim their former glory, have been quietly courting the talented signal caller. The Steelers front office, known for its strategic approach to team building, seems increasingly interested in shaking things up by adding a dynamic playmaker like Lawrence to their roster. Insiders indicate that Lawrence's camp has shown openness to discussions with Pittsburgh, signaling a willingness to explore a future in the Steel City. This development is far from official, yet it has ignited a firestorm of debate about how such a partnership could reshape the NFL's quarterback landscape. Steelers fans, long eager for a franchise quarterback to lead their team back to championship contention, are buzzing with anticipation over what this could mean. The rumors suggest a mutual benefit. Lawrence gets a fresh start with a storied franchise known for its passionate fan base and rich football history, while the Steelers gain a young, talented quarterback with immense upside. The possibility of Lawrence donning the black and gold is tantalizing, especially considering the team's recent struggles to find consistency under center. While nothing is set in stone, the chatter around this potential union has already started to influence draft strategies, trade talks, and free agency plans across the league. Analysts are weighing the pros and cons, debating how Lawrence's style fits with Pittsburgh's offensive scheme and whether this move could revitalize a franchise eager for a new era. For now, all eyes remain on the evolving saga as Trevor Lawrence's possible yes to the Steelers transforms from mere rumor into a storyline that could define the upcoming NFL season. Fans and insiders alike are holding their breath, awaiting confirmation or denial as the drama unfolds. One thing is certain, if this move happens, it will be one of the most talked about narratives in football this year. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.